Bud Light is once again in a whole lot of trouble. It seems like the situation for Bud Light is getting even worse. I say this every single time I make a Bud Light video. I can't believe that the Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch situation could possibly get any worse, but somehow they find a way every single week to make their situation even worse. Today we have a couple of articles from Outkick. This is one that we saw a few weeks ago. It said Bud Light sales getting obliterated is now business as usual, Beer Industry Insider says. So Bud Light, Anheuser-Busch, they're already accepting the fact that they're not going to recover, that this is the new normal for Bud Light. Their sales are down 30% in comparison to this same week last year, and it seems like that number is not really moving. It's not really going anywhere. It's not really going up too much. It's not going down too much. They have just lost 30% of their consumer base. Like, they are gone. And these videos, they're not even really going viral on social media anymore. Like, there's not a bunch of Bud Light memes going viral on TikTok much anymore. The videos on YouTube are slowing down a bit. I mean, there's still some viral Bud Light videos, don't get me wrong, but it's definitely not like it was in the peak of the conversation surrounding Bud Light. But there's still the boycott. You know, there's still the stigma. There is still that stain on the Bud Light name, on the Anheuser-Busch name forever. Like, it doesn't seem like that is going away ever. I would predict, and you can let me know in the comments if you disagree, I don't predict this to ever go away unless they completely rebrand Bud Light. Maybe even rebrand Anheuser-Busch a bit too. But they would have to do a complete brand revamp of Bud Light in order for these fans to go back. Maybe use the same beer formula, but I mean, the beer is not good. Like, it's the beer itself, the formula of the actual beer, it doesn't taste good. So that formula alone is not going to bring fans back, even if you change the label, even if you change the name, change the color, change the label of Bud Light to something completely different. The fans still aren't going to come back. But like I said, the situation has gotten even worse. Let's check out this new article that we got today from Outkick. It says rival exec expects Bud Light to be wiped from shelves in fall reset. So it looks like Bud Light, not only are they not expected to recover that 30% that they have lost, but it looks like they're actually going to lose more because they're getting wiped from shelves, according to this article. Let's check out what it has to say here. Looking to grab some Bud Light ahead of next week's slate of preseason games? Better hurry, because it could be hard to find here pretty soon. At least that's what Molson Coors chief executive Gavin Hattersley predicted in a conference call this week, according to the Wall Street Journal. Hattersley said on a conference call with the analyst that retailers are already reallocating space to other brands' shelf resets that take place in the spring, with more resets to come in the fall, the Wall Street Journal wrote. In bars and on-premises channels, the company gained more than 12,000 tap handles in the quarter, he added. And yeah, Bud Light and Coors Light are pretty similar. You know, they're always right next to each other in all the grocery stores. They're always right next to each other in bars. So whenever you see Bud Light, you see Coors Light right next to it. And whenever you see Bud Light nowadays, you think of all the memes on social media. You think of Dylan Mulvaney. You think negative thoughts every single time you see the Bud Light logo. I mean, every time. I don't even drink beer ever. I don't drink alcohol. But I'll see Bud Light cans on the ground when I'm, going for a jog or something, and I immediately just think of all the memes that I've seen. It used to be that when you think of Bud Light, you think of like being at a baseball game or a football game. You just think of sporting events, watching the Super Bowl, whatever it is. You just think of sporting events and being outdoors at a barbecue or something. Now you just think of the memes on social media and how they platformed someone and how they destroyed the entire Bud Light brand pretty much overnight. Within a couple months, they destroyed this hard work that they've done over, 10 plus years to gain this fan base, to gain this consumer base. They kind of just destroyed that entire thing overnight. That's what you think of when you think of Bud Light now. So in my opinion, the brand is done. And whenever you see Bud Light in the stores, you don't buy the Bud Light, you look to what's next to it, because people aren't really buying this for the taste. Let's be real, they all taste like trash. So you just look next to it for what's the next most accessible beer, what's the next most recognizable brand, recognizable name, and it's normally Miller or Coors or something like that. So yeah, these brands like Coors and Miller are going to benefit greatly from Bud Light's fall off, and it seems like Bud Light being wiped from the store shelves are going to benefit them even more and hurt Bud Light obviously even more. Not a great way to start for August for Bud Light. Unfortunately, it's not much different than any other month since April, when the Dylan Mulvaney disaster began. Sales of the once popular brew have consistently tanked for 4 months now, with experts also sounding the alarm recently that Modelo Especial could officially unseat it as the nation's #1 beer later this month. While Modelo has been the biggest benefactor of Bud Light's fallout, Molson Coors isn't far behind. Wall Street Journal also noted that the company is planning on an additional $100 million of marketing spending in the second half of the year to keep that sales momentum. Our job is to maintain those gains that we've got. Hopefully they don't go extremely woke with it. All they have to do is not do that. Just being normal is all they have to do, and they will continue to funnel all the Bud Light fans, all the Bud Light refugees. They'll funnel them all into Coors, into Miller, into whatever other brand is out there that is near similar to Bud Light. As Outkick noted earlier this week, Coors reported a second quarter net income of $342 million. That's an increase of $47 million from the 2022 second quarter. Sales were also up 11.8% to $3.3 billion. Bud Light, meanwhile, was down nearly 27% in the latest sales data. While the Mulvaney fiasco has cost Anheuser-Busch billions, some experts have predicted that that could be a permanent loss too. I mean, it very much seems like it is a permanent loss. Whenever this Bud Light disaster first started, I thought that it might get up to 30%, just kind of, way the numbers were going, but I didn't think it would stay there. I thought this was going to be a trend, kind of a fad on social media that everybody wanted to be a part of. Everybody was going to take part in the Bud Light boycott because they wanted to be a part of the biggest boycott in history, the most successful one at least. But once the hype died down on social media, once the TikTok stopped going viral, that eventually, the Bud Light boycott would also fall off. But it seems like that's not the case. It seems like people are actually pissed off at Bud Light and they're kind of just done with the brand. And it was definitely a perfect storm because, like I mentioned earlier, Bud Light doesn't really have the greatest taste. It doesn't really have the greatest beer formula. It was all about the branding when it came to Bud Light. Anheuser-Busch absolutely ruined that with one person being hired. And now, all the branding, all of the marketing that they built up, all the good favor that they've built up with that marketing over the years, it's just gone. It's all down the drain, and Bud Light as a brand has been absolutely ruined. Let me know in the comments what you think about Bud Light getting wiped from shelves. Do you think this rumor is true, or do you think this is just kind of wishful thinking from people who want to see Bud Light fail even more? I mean, it is coming from a Coors exec. Most likely is true. Let me know in the comments what you're thinking about this entire Bud Light, Anheuser-Busch, and Coors situation.